Welcome to the ZEDLEGAL Podcast, a platform which simplifies the law through discussions on court cases, legal principles, current legal issues, and my journey from law school and ZIALE to legal practice. Join me for practical insights on law, justice, rights, and the legal profession.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the ZEDLEGAL Podcast. It's your favorite lawyer, Chisinsi Banda, and today I'm with a very special guest, an advocate of the High Court for Zambia. Her name is Mutinta Zunduna, and it is indeed a privilege for us to have her here today on the show. Mutinta, you're welcome. Please say hi to the listeners.
Thank you, Chisinsi. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Amazing. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, let's get into it. So first of all, why law? Especially that you are a are a Christian. Most people feel like Christians shouldn't study law. Yeah, maybe let's start from there.
Okay. So why law? For me, it's very interesting actually and very funny. I wanted to study law because of a Nigerian movie that I watched when I was younger.
No.
So that's the honest truth. That's how it started. I think and I literally remember it had to do with some property grabbing from a widow, and she was really suffering with her children, and it was like a village setup, and they really took away everything from her, and I just felt so strong in my heart, like I wanted to jump into the TV and just find a way to help her, so
Yeah.
I had that, I need to fight for the people when I grow up, or I think just watching injustice was very it really triggered me. So I think since then that I always had it at the back of my mind. I was like, I want to be a lawyer, fight for justice. I'm not sure if that's the same reason now, but because things are a bit different on the ground. But yeah, that's what triggered it. It was a Nigerian movie. And maybe to your point of Christians not studying law and the like, I think, to be honest, even just with being a Christian and part of the character of God, is a God of justice. So I think that's what the law even stands for, in fact. So if Christians run away from law because of misconceptions and all that, we will really be in more danger than we are now, honestly. So yeah, but that was my reason for studying law.
Interesting. Okay, so okay, that's a very good reason actually. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about yourself and who Mutinta Zunduna is and what you're doing in legal practice today.
Okay, so I'm a lawyer, an advocate, yeah, as you've rightly put it. Mutinta. Okay, Mutinta is a Christian. I think I'm easygoing, a bit quiet, I think. um, I believe that our lives really influence the people around us, and like with whatever you have, if you can share it with the world and make it a better place, I'm all about that. So I'm actually on YouTube, I'm on TikTok. I share all little parts of my life, things I enjoy doing. Maybe that's what I would say about myself. I'm Zambian.
And
And
about
in terms of what I'm doing in legal practice,
mm-hmm.
so I was at University of Lusaka. That's where I did my law from, and then completed in 2022. And then I've been an intern, or was an intern, at a commercial legal firm, one of the best firms in the country.
Tier one.
I'd been there for quite some time. Yeah, tier one. I was an intern and then became what you call a legal practitioner. So for those who don't know, that's like, I guess, your title when you are studying for your bar exams, which is ZIALE. So while you're doing that attachment, you're a legal practitioner. Yeah, and then became a lawyer and then an associate in the firm. So it's so far my experience has been around commercial, legal, corporate kind of work. Maybe I could end there for now. That's the kind of work I've been involved in so far.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so which brings me to the question. Okay, so you are talking about your YouTube channel. If people wanted to check out your YouTube channel, maybe just tell us all your platforms where you share snippets about your life, encourage people. Where can they find you?
Okay, so on TikTok I go by Mutinta Z, so Mutinta and then ZEE. That's because my last name starts with Z, so that's where the Z is from. Then on YouTube, I go by Growth Lane with Miss Z. So the Growth Lane is just the quick background is basically what I said earlier about I believe in self-development, growing. You never reach a place where you need to stop growing, basically. So there's always room for improvement in whatever area of your life. So I'm a firm believer of that, and hence the name Growth Lane. So it's basically where I told myself this would be a community where anyone looking to grow in any kind of way can join the party. So Growth Lane with Miss Z. Z again, ZEE. Yeah.
Okay. So just there on the growth lane, do you think we are do you think we are all born with a purpose, or we find our purpose as we grow?
So I most definitely think everyone is born with a purpose. And going back to what I said earlier about me being a Christian, we look to like the scriptures. I think it says in Jeremiah 29:11, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. It's either Jeremiah 1 verse 5 or 29:11, one of the two. Yeah, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. So that's God our creator speaking and saying, I have a plan for you, in short. Even at the time I was forming you, there was a vision I had of you. It's the other scripture says, I've called you to be a prophet. So yes, everyone has a purpose. I think whether they know it or not, maybe finding out or discovering the purpose may come along the way. That would be more of the, I would say, intricacies. But generally, everybody's purpose when you're coming into this world is to glorify the Father. That's the number one, because you can't be a creation of something or a creation of someone and not accomplish what they created you to do. So if God is going to bring you into this world, it's for you to glorify him. And then now, as you journey in this world, you find out the ways that you can do that. So everyone is born with a purpose, and then along the way that purpose maybe becomes more defined, and then each one is able to like have their own path, but still it's laid on the foundation of you're here to worship God and glorify the Father, who's our creator. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So let's get back to the Zambia Institute of Advanced Legal Education.
The one and only.
The one and only. What were your expectations? How was it? Like, run us through before you going there, what you heard about it, like your perspective, before going there. Yeah, let's start from there.
Okay, so ZIALE, I remember even just from law school, it was just this big name, this big place that we heard of, or at least in my personal experience, it was the place for, big people. I would put it like that. So it was, I remember the times I said I was at University of Osaka, Unilas. Once in a while we would actually have like some form of seminars or something where people who were at ZIALE, so our seniors, would come and tell us their experience and the like. So it was this place where I was looking to get, I would say, and when I got there, I was a bit like, I couldn't believe it because time moves so fast. Even while you're in school, you may not realize it, but I think when you're done or at the finish line of your LLB, it now becomes real to you, like, oh, okay, I'm next. I'm going to this place I've heard so much of, which there's a lot of fear associated with it because of the numbers we hear. It's not like when you're in law school, you're not aware of, what's happening at this institution that you're yet to get to. You hear of the high failure rates, and especially, I would say, I think sometimes what's a bit crazy is maybe people who you looked up to in law school, you knew were very good, in terms of grades and just many different good attributes of a law student, and you see that they were defeated, quote unquote, by ZIALE. So it just becomes this whole thing where I think you're curious to see for yourself what really is this place,
True,
or
true.
what's there, and I think you only really understand after you're like,
True.
and the experience is so different for everyone.
Mm.
But yeah, for me, it was this place that I wanted to get over and done with, and I genuinely wanted to clear first attempt, I would say. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question. You asked what I thought of it, right?
Yes. Which, of course,
Yeah.
you started addressing the next question I was going to ask you to say, okay, so you didn't pass on first attempt, and you really wanted to pass on first attempt. So how was the experience? Like, how did you feel? Like, run us through you opening the portal and seeing what you saw. Like, just run us through that, and yeah, how you got back on your feet.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't clear first attempt, and that was really disappointing for me because like every person who sets a goal, when you don't achieve it, you're so disappointed. But I think somehow what makes it a bit worse with ZIALE is the fact that it's not really so clear cut sometimes where you went wrong. Maybe for others it is, and I think the impact that not passing at first attempt will have on you is dependent on the mindset you went with. So you have some people who, maybe in your class, maybe, colleagues and the like, who already tell themselves, okay, I won't pass all the 11 heads, which are like the subjects there. And they are actually aiming for, okay, maybe clearing half, and they've said to themselves, I can come back for the rest, and then you have others who were like me, who was just like, you know what, with God, I can do anything.
I can do
ZIALE
it.
is just a name, and the name of Jesus is above every other name. And of course, that hasn't changed. It doesn't mean that because I didn't clear first attempt. Yeah, but I'm trying to say that I was really running on a lot of faith. And so I think when I saw that I didn't clear, I was really taken aback and more of confused. But at the same time, I think I was a bit angry with God also because, well, I know the failure comes in different ways for people. Others, or maybe I'd say the extent. It's maybe you failed 5 and you passed 6, but or maybe you passed 9 and you failed 2. So those extents will be different for people. So,
Yeah.
like for me, I remember my major exams. I cleared 10 out of the 11. So my hope, was built.
Yeah.
My hope
I
was
mean, just
built, and
one.
then the final,
Mm.
yeah, and then the final, I cleared 8 out of the 11. So it was more like, what happened? Why would I move from the 10 to the 8?
Mm.
What went wrong? And it's not like you're given your scripts back
Script.
to maybe see, where you went wrong. So you're sort of left to guess from scratch what it could have been. So yes, to answer your question, I was very disappointed, but more of angry because the journey itself is not very easy, or at least for me, it wasn't so easy. And so just the thought of having to go through it again, I didn't know what to expect. I just thought, oh my God, now I need to, pay again to rewrite the courses. At that time now I was even thinking, okay, will my employer still keep my
Me.
contract, because I haven't cleared and all those things. What will happen now? It was just so many thoughts going on at the same time. But yes, I think I really felt like it was unfair, and not to say the school is unfair, but at that point, I just felt like, bad things should not happen to good people. I was like, I've tried to be a good person in this life. Why should I go through something like this? And you start to feel like I don't deserve this failure. But yeah, and then the second part of your question being, I think you said, how did you conquer it, right? Or
Yeah,
maybe
yes. So
get
so
back
so
on your feet.
so before we get to
Mhm.
getting back on your feet, in that moment, did you ever feel like, okay, maybe law is not for me? Like,
No, not at all. I never reached that point of law is not for me. I was just like, I have to finish what I've started,
okay.
So for me, it was more of I didn't see it as the failure. It means it's not for me. And I think sometimes maybe that's a mistake people make. It could be the reality for some that yes, the failure is saying go elsewhere, but at the same time, facing resistance in something doesn't mean that you're not supposed to, that's not where you're supposed to be. Sometimes it's all part of the process, but then you only realize this in hindsight, like looking back. In the moment, trust me, I wasn't even thinking like this, like, oh no, it's for a purpose. No, I was just so upset. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to deal with this again, because of how demanding ZIALE is. It takes a lot of your time. You have
Yeah.
to adjust or restructure a lot of things. You're constrained, for time. And so um it's a thing of you're looking forward to doing maybe things which you couldn't have done while at ZIALE,
Mm.
and so when you have to still take the courses or still rewrite the heads, it becomes like it's like you're being stalled,
Yeah,
or
true.
you're being halted, so to say. You maybe had plans, maybe even like, okay, when I clear, I'm admitted, I'll go for my master's. So when I clear, I'll do this, or maybe change jobs, or I'll do this. So those plans now are disrupted because you haven't cleared, you see.
Mm.
But I didn't reach a point where I said law is not for me. No, I was just like, the good part with the practicing license, you see, you can choose, whether to practice or not, but at least you have it. You're qualified to practice. The
True.
next step, or you actually using it, is another question. But you attaining it, I was all in. I needed to get it. And we pay so much money.
We do.
So there was not going to be any going back for me.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, you're about to answer the second part of the question, which was what kept you going?
Okay, so I think quite a number of things. I had a very strong support system, to be honest. My family, they never made me feel like, they didn't like dwell in sorrow with me, if I could put it like that. Like, oh no, what happened and what? In fact, I think they were angrier than me. They were just like, how could you do this to our girl? And your family they see your potential, they know what you're capable of, and so when I didn't pass, it was more of a thing. Like, they were also confused and shocked, and I could tell. And sometimes, I didn't have an explanation for it, but they were very understanding, very encouraging, supportive. And when someone tells you it's not you, it's them. So that was
Mm-hmm.
their attitude. I had very supportive colleagues as well, workmates, supervisors. Like, they never, they really just made me so comfortable. Like, they never made me feel like, oh, you failed ZIALE, like, oh, you're not, worthy enough to be among us. No, it was actually a thing of, everyone was so encouraging. So I also had a supportive workspace during that time. Honestly, that helped. And I still maintained my job, so that also helped, because I know some people, have it, for them, like, the dynamic really changes. Maybe you find the employer, can't retain them. So now, other than thinking of having to retake, the courses, they are now also thinking of having to find a job, and all
Mm-hmm.
those things. And then this is someone maybe that you're relying on that income, and
Yeah.
all that. So I didn't have those complications. At least I still maintained my job. I was still going for work. Um, had supportive family, and by God's grace had the funds as well, the resources. So money wasn't even an issue,
Mm.
So, and that's why maybe I could even throw this in here as a side note, like, for anyone who knows someone who's retaking, the ZIALE courses and the like just show them grace or extend grace. For some people, it's financial issues which make them maybe take longer to complete, or there's just so much which goes on anyway. And like I said earlier, sometimes it's better understood by people who have actually
Been there
gone through.
too.
Yes, been there. But that made it easier for me. And also, to be honest, my faith, I had to get myself back up. I think because of yeah, I think my church family also was very supportive, my mentors. So it's a thing where I couldn't really be discouraged for so long, if I could put it like that. And
Mm.
also, at the end of the day, you also realize that you sort of don't have much time to be discouraged because you need to start preparing for the next sitting, you
True.
know So you
Yeah.
have to, it's like you fall, you get back up. You fall, you get back up. So I think those are some of the things that helped me. Speaking to people also who had not passed was also helpful. And for some, it's not even that I had to speak to them. Just observing from their life, because among ourselves as lawyers in law school and the like, you have friends, your colleagues, some who were intakes or semesters ahead of you. You get to just see and observe their lives, because we remain in touch with each other one way or the other. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes.
We see updates on LinkedIn of what this one is doing, or through this group, or through this person. We sort of know where everyone is and at which stage. So when you look at someone without even having to speak to them, but you just follow and you're like, I remember that guy. He
Yeah.
was, a year ahead of me. And I remember he didn't clear, but he's working here and he's doing well. Or I remember that girl, she was maybe a year below me, and she's, doing well. So people's stories also really help and encourage, and which is why I love even what you're doing, Chisinsi, with the podcast, because sometimes it's important that we let our experiences not go to waste, and if it can help even one person, then it was so worth it. So
True.
other people may get tired of these messages and the like, but there's that one person who needs it, literally, who's trying to decide, should I retake the courses this year? I like to say retake, not repeat. I don't, the word repeat just bothers me. Even the word failure, it just bothers me, because looking back now, to be honest, failure has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
So, looking back now, it's just that whole thing of, the setback was not really a setback, but it was a setup. So I tend to use the words very particularly, even things like, oh yeah, I repeat that, yeah, what, it may not bother others, but for me, I've seen what words can do. And sometimes that constant reminder, yeah, repeater, yeah, failure, yeah, what, it gets to your mind. So you want to make sure even how you're speaking to yourself matters in this time, for whoever is listening. If you're retaking a course and the like, how you speak to yourself will really, really matter. And, you can't really rely on what people will tell you. So
Yeah.
yeah, that really helped me. Also, just looking at it as, I can do this. If I didn't pass, or me not having cleared that course, doesn't make me dull, doesn't mean I'm not as smart or not as intelligent as I thought, or maybe that I didn't work hard enough, because those questions do come when you
True.
don't clear. You wonder, did I not study, hard enough? Was my strategy wrong? Did I not have the right tactics? And with ZIALE, you usually do a lot of consultation and you find out what's required for each head. So especially when you feel that you did what was needed, like, okay, this head, you need to draft like this head, you need to, maybe write one whole page for the marker to give you, some decent marks and all that. So there's so many questions around it. The best thing you can do for yourself is just say, I'll go again. So yeah, those are some of the things that helped me in a nutshell. My family, my workmates and colleagues, speaking well to myself, um, and my faith, that also, it really helped me. I don't know how people do it, people who don't believe in God, because it's
It's
always
Lord.
consoling to know there's a higher power who's in
Yeah.
charge of your life, and
Mhm.
somewhere, somehow, even if it was your fault, or even if it was your doing, he will work out everything for your good. So I think I really stood on that, and yeah, that's what kept me going.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So I understand that after the first attempt, you didn't make the first attempt, you re-strategize. Just like you said, with ZIALE, you tend to find out to say, okay, how did you pass? Like, you find out from the lecturer, and then maybe the guide, maybe you're supposed to answer like this, supposed to draft like this. I want to believe that maybe that's what you also went through. And then you had your second sitting. And then on your second sitting as well, things didn't go as planned. Run us through that and how you recovered up to now when you finally passed the remaining heads.
Okay, so to be honest, I don't even know which disappointment was worse, the first or second disappointment. And I think I handled them differently,
Okay.
because it's one thing to say, okay, I pull up my socks and get back again and do this again. And then when you're like slapped in the face again with like, no, you still didn't get it. So now I was a bit like, what now? What else do you want me to do?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember even asking God, I was like, even if you're trying to teach me something, please let's give each other room. It can't be back to back strengthening. Like, give me chance.
Yeah.
Or I was just like, test me with something else, not with school. Like, I'm spending money on this, I'm spending time, resources. Can't you choose something else to develop my character or something? So the second attempt, yeah, I don't even know if I was angry, if I was sad, if I was disappointed, or also all of the above. But I think I would say I recovered faster with the second attempt, actually, with the news of me not making it at second attempt, I mean. And this is because I think one of the things that um, God worked on me in that time was being okay with not getting what I wanted at the time I wanted it. That's something that I had to really just adjust and say, okay, this, Christianity thing, it's not like he owes me, okay, because I've been a good Christian, then it's just, he must just make me, have what I want, and it must be wins and wins and wins throughout. And sometimes even what we define as wins, because of how God wants to develop us. And remember the thing we started with earlier, the whole purpose thing. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find since literally maybe me failing twice was just so that we could be having this conversation today for the sake of others. Imagine.
Yeah.
But you see, in the moment, it doesn't look like that at all. In
Mm.
the moment, it was just, why should it be me?
Hey, why is it me? Why are you delaying
Why
me?
should
Me
I
have
be
the
the
plan.
example? Yeah, have you
Hey.
heard there's that meme I think that people like posting or something, the one for, I hope I'm not on God's list of strongest soldiers this year. And it always makes me laugh. And when I'm going through something difficult, I always joke with myself and tell myself, I'm like, looks like I'm still on this list. So it's really just training us. And it was tough. It was tough because now I was just like, these people don't want to let me go. And I was left with one course. So the first time I failed, I had three
Okay.
to retake. And then, so in the second attempt, I was now rewriting those three, in which now I had cleared two and was left with one. And even with how I was, failing, quote unquote, it was just by sight marks because the pass mark is 50 at
Yeah.
ZIALE. So
Yeah.
you find, maybe I had a 47 or a 45 or a 49. So it's
Yeah.
like, you're just like, what are the few marks, or what's the little I needed to do to get to that pass mark and just clear. But I would say I handled the second attempt better, because my faith had really grown to a point where I was just like, okay, God, in your time, I don't like how things are going. I'm not liking, what's happening, but I'll just rely on you and trust on you. And the same thing again, supportive family, supportive workplace. I still retained my job, you know. Again, my faith was growing. So I sort of was able to continue like nothing happened, if I could put it like that. And I chose to see or look at other things which I thought, were going well, so that I'll just remain grateful and not resentful towards God, because that's a dangerous place to be in.
Mm.
If you find yourself there, I think maybe it's okay for a little while, but you need to get out of it, quickly, because it can begin to affect how you view God and just how every other thing in your life works,
Mm.
And at the end of the day, I just reached a point where I said, okay, this is just a paper. It's a qualification. The same way you got me through other qualifications like my law degree, the same way you got me through school when I was younger, that's the same way you get me through getting this practicing license. So you can imagine now, from being this person out of law school who desired and was so sure to clear on her first attempt, and then I didn't get it twice. And I was just like, there's really nothing. I don't want to be that person who will only be in good books, with God when things are going my way. And so I told him, I said, I'll continue just showing up the way I've been showing up. At that time, I wasn't even sure whether to continue like with my YouTube and the like, because now I was just like, how do I post and talk about the law when I'm failing to even get this practicing certificate. What does that say of me? Am I even really qualified to be sharing with others when I can't seem to be getting things right and all those things? But I continued. I remember I even did a video at that point on YouTube, which I posted. And, I was just like, oh, this is an update. I still haven't cleared, but we're still going strong, because I told myself, I said, Lord, in good, I will, stand and speak for you. In bad, I will stand and speak for you, because now I'd be a hypocrite if I only come back out when I've passed. It means, you're sort of not showing that even when you haven't passed, you still have value to you. And I think that's one thing that ZIALE can try and disrupt if you don't pass. It will really try and it may even be unintentional, but it can really disrupt how you view yourself, the value you attach to even the low degree that you have. Maybe you're even in an environment where people are not so supportive of you or speaking ill of you, whether or not you know it, and it can just be a lot emotionally. And so I just told myself, I'll keep going. I did, however, tell God, I was like, if I don't get it at the third attempt, I don't know what you do, because I'm not sure if I'll still be showing up the way I'm showing up. I think maybe that's when, to be honest, as I was now approaching like my third sitting or taking of the courses, I was now like, God, this just has to be it. Like, because I felt like I'll have nothing more to give. Thank you for the strength to keep going, but this may be as far as I go. And by his mercy and grace, I think it was just like, my girl is about to lose it. Let me just help her with this one. And yeah, lo and behold, it's the third time's the charm, eh?
The
That's
charm,
what they
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was what it looked like for me.
How was it when you saw your result? Were you expecting it, or you're just like, okay, whatever happens, happens? Or you knew?
No, I was not expecting it at all. I'm not really a kind of person of whatever happens, happens. No, because I put in the work. So I was genuinely confused, and I was like, and that's how I knew. Even I said, this is now not even me. This is now, I just said, God, when you're ready, you will do it, because now this is not even me. So
Yeah.
yeah, when I saw the results, of course, there's that even curiosity from people around you. People are rooting for you. They want to see you do well. They want to be able to say, oh, I have the personal lawyer and all that. And even just your colleagues, your friends, your family, your church family, everyone is, rooting for you. At least you can hope so anyway. So there's also that expectation of it's like you're not even just checking the results for yourself. You're checking for the whole community.
True.
And, there's that disappointment that people also will have, like also they also wish you could have passed, but you didn't. And they try to show support in the ways that they can, I guess, some better than others, but it's just the reality. So yeah,
Yeah.
when I saw my result, I was just like, again, like,
No, I'm saying about
what's
you.
going on?
I'm saying about your third attempt now when it finally happened.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Were you
My third
expecting?
attempt.
Yes.
To
Were
be
you
honest,
expecting?
to
At,
be
mm,
Um, to be honest, like I said, I told God that this third time has to be the chance, because I don't know how I will react after this. So I would say yes, I was expecting it. But I wasn't excited when I saw my results. I was a bit like, I had already moved on, like, if I could put it like that. I already moved on. I was just like, I was grateful, of course, in the moment, but I think my focus now was just maybe how do I make sure I will be a good advocate, or how do I walk in the integrity that God has called me to, that the profession demands, and all that. I think that's where my mind was. And really, to be honest, on a practical level, I was just thinking, okay, now I need to start gathering funds for my regalia on the day, the wig, the suit, the what. So it wasn't excitement, it was more like just okay, we proceed to the next stage. Thank you, ZIALE, I'm off, kind of a thing. And to be honest, I feel like even when people clear, I think that's why you don't even see so many people talking about the ZIALE experiences and the like, at least not publicly. I feel like sometimes it's a bit draining, that place. So when you get it over and done with, you just want to, like, cut ties with it, for lack of a better term, unless maybe you're going back for another course in future or something.
yeah.
Looking at the other courses that they do offer other than the LPQE. So yeah, my third attempt, I was grateful, just in a place of gratitude to God, honestly, and just asking what's next. because like I said, even with my second attempt, there are certain things which I decided to do like non-school related, and because I didn't want to feel like a failure, so I was just like, no, there are at least some victories I can have in my life. And I started doing other things. I went into investing,
Mm.
doing more research on things like capital markets, understanding how those things work. I created more streams of income for myself.
Mm.
So I did things which made me realize that, or at least caused me to not feel halted by ZIALE, or like my life was on a standstill, because it can have that effect.
True.
So I would even encourage people who are still trying to retake their courses and the like. In the meantime, I'm not saying be distracted from ZIALE or just go off it completely, but have other things that you're doing which you also um help you just build your self-esteem, and find other things to win at, if I could put it like that, in life. If ZIALE has made you feel like a failure, find other things that will make you feel like a winner. And then still studying for your next session, because there's also some time between the time your results come out and the time that you're going to have your next sitting. So that's a lot of months, and you don't want to waste it not doing anything, just rereading, rememorizing,
True.
and doing other things. It may be a lot, so I would say get into other things, or maybe pour your 110% into your workspace. Just do other things that will help you. ZIALE should not like become the center of your life, because you keep feeling defeated and put down because of that one thing. Yeah.
True. True. Okay. So, as we are concluding, I think I just have two more questions. The first one being, do you think you've turned out to be a different lawyer than you were when you just started your ZIALE journey? Do you think your experience has changed you in terms of just not being a lawyer, but even as a person?
Yes, most definitely. In fact, I'll start with, as a person, it has really, really changed me, and for the better. That's what I'm saying. It makes sense in hindsight, looking back, because trust me, in those moments I wasn't even thinking like this. But it's made me so much better in that um it taught me how to rely more on God as well, to really, really trust Him. And when we say trust, sometimes we attach conditions without realizing. You may think you trust God until something doesn't go your way. And then
Mm,
you realize, you're now wishing maybe I should have, taken matters into my own hands, or done this and this way. And you don't realize it's actually, your doubts coming and saying, you see, I shouldn't have maybe let it go, because God hasn't made it work out the way I wanted it to, and all those things. So it's definitely deepened my relationship with God, which I'm so, so, so grateful for. Um, it has even given me, I think, more compassion for
mm,
people generally, in that it's made me relate to a lot of people who are going through different things, especially academically. And
mm,
I say this because even with looking at how I started, I've always been, I would say, maybe like the smartest kid in class, kind of. At least that's the reputation I had from a very young age, all
mm,
the way up to university. So I think that's what came as the biggest shock, maybe where your foundation was very strong, and then now it's like you're shaken, or you feel like that foundation is now being questioned, or it's not showing the evidence that it was before, which
mm,
can be very confusing. So I've also come to learn that my intelligence comes from God. And even you're not passing, it doesn't mean that you're not intelligent, or it could be many, many factors. For people who've gone through ZIALE, you know what it involves. It's so many things. It's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's physical. There's so many other factors that go into somebody not passing, or that go into somebody passing, their exams. So it's changed me for the better. If I look at where I am now, I do not regret that I didn't pass on those two occasions, because it's made me wiser as well. Yes, it's made me wiser. It's also given me an attitude to show up. just showing up every day. Sometimes you don't know what that statement means if you haven't experienced a setback, or if you haven't experienced some pushback or resistance in something. And this can even be even just beyond ZIALE, any other thing you're trying to achieve in life. If you face resistance and you notice yourself still going all out, still giving your all, putting God first and all that, you get to a place where you're saying, irrespective of the results, I'm doing my part just by showing up, or irrespective of the results, I'm better off still going for it, still having the faith and belief, as opposed to just doubting and sulking, because in any case, it's no win for you. If you choose to just sit in misery, it's only to your detriment. You're better off trying again and not getting it. But I think it's also a personal journey, and maybe I could even just throw this in here. It doesn't mean that my trajectory has to be everybody's trajectory, especially if you're a believer. You really want to just lean on God, ask him for instructions on what to do. Maybe, for him, he'll give you a different strategy, or for him, there's a different lesson he's trying to teach you. So to not look the same for everyone. And that's why one of the things which you hear almost everyone who's been to ZIALE, if they're advising somebody who's coming after them, one of the first things that they'll tell you is experience it for yourself, and don't let what other people have told you, maybe negative sentiments about certain courses affect you and all that. They'll just say, make ZIALE personal, focus on yourself, know the strategy, all this. But the one thing that comes out is like, it's just so personal. Everyone will experience it differently, because they're from different backgrounds. We're in different circumstances at the time we are starting ZIALE. We're in different circumstances at the time we are completing it. So it's not cast in stone. But if you do your journey with God, trust me, the outcome will be victory. However that will look, I don't know if it will be 5 attempts for you, or 3 or 2 for somebody, or even just 1 attempt. It doesn't, even those who clear at first attempt, it doesn't mean they didn't face struggle. They also face struggle. Then there are others who will tell you maybe ZIALE was very easy for them. So it's so different in terms of what people will experience. But I've definitely come out a better person. Whether I've come out a better lawyer, I think so. I can only hope so. I think I'm still very early, in my years in terms of being in the profession. But I genuinely think no experience is wasted, unless you just don't pay attention to what it's supposed to like build in you or develop in you. But I think, there's definitely certain things which I may not even be aware of now, but along the way, I'll get to notice them and see, okay, so my experience did actually, or has actually helped me develop in this way, or think or analyze things in this way, or even just show up for clients in a different way. Yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Amazing. Okay, so as we wrap up, finally, what message would you like the listeners to take away from your story in 2 minutes?
Okay. So if I'm to give a message to the listeners, I think I would say give yourself grace. I think this is a statement that I heard a lot, or would hear a lot, and I never really understood it. But okay, so maybe I'll give it from 2 contexts actually. If you are in the current ZIALE intake, give your best now. Let me start with that. Give your best. Be very positive, be very optimistic. If you're a believer, remain in prayer, believe and trust God. Don't give him conditions. Of course, pray, yes, that you pass, and do all the other things you need to do, like the studying, the strategizing, time management, and all that. Just give your all, and don't be so worried. Give your all, go 110%, and yeah. And then for those who are retaking some heads, or maybe for some, unfortunately, all the heads, I would say give yourself grace. Still put in your all. Take some time to also, I think it's so important to also sit with the loss, quote unquote, if I could put it like that, because sometimes it's like if you don't have time to recoup, even in a race, when you're running, maybe you are I don't know what example I can give, but these guys who do, like the long distances and the like, or even the way we do marathons these days a lot in Lusaka and Zambia generally, you find there are those stations, right, where they'll put fruits, water, where you just stop for a bit, recoup, regain some energy, and then you continue. I feel like it's like that. Even with ZIALE, just take some time, maybe even 3 weeks to yourself, depending on maybe the number of courses you're taking. I think that will influence what you decide for the break you can take. Just a breather, no studying. And this is my personal advice: no studying, no looking at any ZIALE material. Just take a breather, sit with yourself, meditate, uh, make a roadmap now for, okay, going forward, how will this be? Because if you just, continue with, like what I said, you don't stop to have those breaks, you just continue, you wear yourself out, and you will collapse at the point you're not even supposed to have collapsed, and you'll be wishing you had taken that break. So I think sit with yourself, meditate, consult with people, speak to people maybe who've gone through it that would encourage you, spend time in prayer, see how you can re-strategize, so that when you now continue, you hit the ground running. You know what you're doing. You've planned out your day, because even with the classes that you'll be having in the evening, the lecturers are not, so they don't take as much time, because they're presuming you've gone through the classes already before. So they'll just be now trying to listen, to pay attention to maybe where your struggles are, and then you're just loosening up some you're tightening up some loose spots. So you are sort of in the journey on your own. Again, there's not as much um babying, if I could say, when you're retaking the courses. And then your schedule may also be busy. You have work, maybe this is someone who's been married with key context. Actually, if you are in the current ZIALE intake, give your best now. Let me start with that. Give your best. Be very positive, be very optimistic. If you're a believer, remain in prayer, believe and trust God. Don't give him conditions. Of course, pray, yes, that you pass, and do all the other things you need to do, like the studying, the strategizing, time management, and all that. Just give your all, and don't be so worried. Give your all, go 110%. And yeah. And then for those who are retaking some heads, or maybe for some, unfortunately, all the heads, I would say give yourself grace. Still put in your all. Take some time to also, I think it's so important to also sit with the loss, quote unquote, if I could put it like that, because sometimes it's like if you don't have time to recoup, even in a race, when you're running, maybe you are I don't know what example I can give, but these guys who do, like the long distances and the like, or even the way we do marathons these days a lot in Lusaka and Zambia generally, you find there are those stations, right, where they'll put fruits, water, where you just stop for a bit, recoup, regain some energy, and then you continue. I feel like it's like that. Even with ZIALE, just take some time, maybe even 3 weeks to yourself, depending on maybe the number of courses you're taking. I think that will influence what you decide for the break you can take. Just a breather, no studying. And this is my personal advice: no studying, no looking at any ZIALE material. Just take a breather, sit with yourself, meditate, uh, make a roadmap now for, okay, going forward, how will this be? Because if you just, continue with, like what I said, you don't stop to have those breaks, you just continue, you wear yourself out, and you will collapse at the point you're not even supposed to have collapsed, and you'll be wishing you had taken that break. So I think sit with yourself, meditate, consult with people, speak to people maybe who've gone through it that would encourage you, spend time in prayer, see how you can re-strategize, so that when you now continue, you hit the ground running. You know what you're doing. You've planned out your day, because even with the classes that you'll be having in the evening, the lecturers are not, so they don't take as much time, because they're presuming you've gone through the classes already before. So they'll just be now trying to listen, to pay attention to maybe where your struggles are, and then you're just loosening up some you're tightening up some loose spots. So you are sort of in the journey on your own. Again, there's not as much um babying, if I could say, when you're retaking the courses. And then your schedule may also be busy. You have work, maybe this is someone who's been married with kids. Others, maybe you're just the one in the home who does most of the chores. It could look like different things for different people, but genuinely, I believe every person will just need to have that time to reset, re-strategize, pray and ask God for strategy, for direction, and then just go for it again and
Mm.
just give your all. And yeah, I think that would be the advice I give. Just don't stop trusting in God. Don't let your trust be conditional. Speak to people where you need to speak to people. Open up where you need help, and then you just patch up some loose spots and just hope for the best at the end of the day. Really, I
Amen.
think that would be like the message I would give to people.
Mutinta, thank you so much. I know this has been long overdue, and I'm so glad that it finally happened. Yeah, it's been an amazing conversation. Personally, I've also learned, and to our listeners, I hope you've been blessed. So many lessons to learn, and I hope you've been inspired. This has been your host, Chisinsi Banda, with the ZEDLEGAL Podcast. Look out for the next episode. Until next time, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.